The heart-pounding insurrection of January 6, 2021. It played out live as we watched on news reports, social media videos. Now, after a year-long investigation, the nation will relive these moments as the House Select Committee reveals its findings through a series of televised hearings. The panel will reveal new evidence that aides say will help, quote, connect the dots between former President Donald Trump's election conspiracies and the violence that unfolded.
Stephen Caliendo is a professor of political science at North Central College. Thanks so much, Professor, for joining us now. So what can we expect to learn from these hearings tonight?
I think we'll learn a lot in terms of seeing things we hadn't seen before, hearing things we haven't heard before. It's been over 1,000 depositions that this congressional committee has engaged in since it formed. Most of the content of those depositions has not been released to date. So we're familiar with a lot of footage. There was, lots of cameras around on that day, but there's going to be different information that's presented to us this evening. But it's going to feel more like an opening argument of a trial than it is a congressional hearing, because we're not going to have opposition questioning at this particular event.
I've heard some people say that we've already seen what happened that day. We know it all. But you mentioned we are going to hear from new people, some witnesses, people involved that we haven't heard from before. Anyone in particular that you're really going to zero in on?
I think we're going to only have 2 live witnesses tonight, although there will be other hearings, coming in the coming weeks. And really, I think the evidence that will be presented that's new is a lot of what was happening behind the scenes that was impossible for us to see that day. Not the sort of footage that we're looking at now that we've seen over and over again, but text messages that were exchanged between players, people in the White House, people in President Trump's inner circle, other Republican operatives, members of Congress even, as those things continue to unfold and we learn more about that the members of the committee believe that the public will understand what the connection was between President Trump and what happened on January 6th.
And so many conservatives believe that this is a stunt by Democrats right before the midterm election, considering the fact that on the committee there are only 2 Republicans. Both of them are not fans of President Trump. So what would you say to conservatives, to Republicans tonight to watch this?
Well, there's no question that there is an element of theater involved here. My understanding is that they brought in a former producer from ABC News to help orchestrate this so that it didn't feel cold, it didn't feel sterile, it didn't feel like a routine congressional hearing, but instead it's going to be a story that has video component and a story that has some live testimony. So to that extent, there is political theater involved. Whether or not it's a stunt related to the midterm elections, look, there's elections every 2 years for the House of Representatives and a third of the Senate, and it takes time to investigate something as monumental as a governmental insurrection. And so I don't know when folks would have preferred that these hearings happen. It's not like they're coming in October, right before people are casting ballots. But I understand the concern. There's no question that there's an element here of theater, because remember that this group does not have any criminal powers. They cannot prosecute anybody for this. All they can do is make recommendations to the Justice Department and plead to public opinion.
We don't have a lot of time left, but quickly, I just want to hear from you. Why do you think it's important to show this during prime time?
Well, I don't know that it's important or not, but I think that the members on the committee would say that it was important because they want to document it historically. They want to try to get as many eyeballs on it as possible. This is it's a time, lots of people work, of course, during prime time, but the vast majority of Americans who work 9 to 5 will be in front of the television during prime time. And so if you think about what happened during the Watergate hearings, for instance, where lots of Americans were tuned in to hear what was happening, the last couple of impeachment hearings that we had against President Trump, they were happening during work hours, during the day, et cetera. And so I think the idea here is to catch the public's attention, remind them what happened on January 6th, and then see if they can be convinced of the connection between President Trump and what occurred on that day.
Professor Caliendo from North Central College, we appreciate your perspective. We'll hear more from you in the morning on this, I know. Thank you so much. And for viewers at home, you can watch live coverage for the January 6th committee hearings right here on Fox 32 tonight and on fox32chicago.com. It all starts tonight at 7 o'clock.